Hi, Utah. Nice to meet you.
Nice.
We have some very good friends here in Villa Corona, Justin and Leilani.
That's us.
And their family. Very cool guys.
Oh, you're too far away. The audio won't pick up. You have to come closer.
Hi again.
You're already famous.
Well, I was not supposed to know that I'm in their videos right now, but still, hi again.
I posted, just that little bit about the church, but now I'm going to make a video just about Villa Corona. So clearly you are Villa Corona.
Thank you.
You are the town.
Thank you.
Introduce yourselves.
I'm Enrique de
Por
Colza,
favor.
and I'm from Guadalajara, near Villa Corona. I'm right now living here. I'm a seminarian. I hope to be a priest in 4 years now. Nice to meet you.
Jose, in Spanish.
Soy el padre José Manuel, vicario de aquí de Villa Corona, y estoy por ajustar 3 años en esta comunidad.
He's Father Jose Manuel. He's one of the vicars here in our parish, in Villa Corona, and he's about to be 3 years here doing his service. And I'm Jair Casillas. I'm a seminarian too, just like Enrique.
And his mom made us mole.
Yes, my mom made that mole.
I'm going to put your mom on YouTube.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
She'll
she'll
be
be
happy.
famous for her mole.
Well, what else? I live in Guadalajara too. I come from Guadalajara too, and we're doing our service year here in Villa Corona and teaching classes of a lot of stuff in school, at school. It's 7. It's 7. And doing some other things in the parish. And that here's the first place we met Justin and Leilani. And here we are again.
Alright, so one thing of advice. What's your word of advice?
I think what you are doing, Justin and Leilani and family, meeting people. Meeting people, I think, is the best thing you can do in life, because you know what love is, what anger is, what fun is, and whatever. You share it with people. So get to know people and love people.
Sí. ¿Advice?
Un consejo, ¿qué consejo le das a la gente? A la vida?
Bueno, yo primeramente quiero felicitarlos a ustedes por ese ejemplo que dan aquí en la comunidad, y que los ven con 5 hijos, ¿verdad? Que no es muy común verlos con 5 hijos, y decirles que la apertura a la vida es muy importante, sobre todo en el seno de una familia unida.
Okay, you don't have to translate. We'll make them look it up.
Okay.
I want to know though.
He said 5 hijos. You have 5 kids. Your family's super important.
Sí.
Because you're witnessing something that many
Gotta go
people
closer
here
and track
around
to
the
that.
world, not only Mexican or Catholic or whatever, they're afraid to have kids, a big family. That's what he says, that you are like some witnesses. You're witnessing something about it, which is cool. Well, my advice, first of all, don't be afraid of Mexican, and well, keep your family together, united. That's a good testimony. What you both do with your kids, it's really nice, and that's what most of us need to learn. Be together in all the good things and bad things, but together. That's my advice. Love, and love a lot.
Sí, gracias. What's your word of advice?
Turn that off.
We're wrapping this up. This is our last night
Our
in
last night in Villa Corona. Okay.
Mexico.
In Mexico. That is sad. My mantra, the thing that I always teach the kids, is that people are life's greatest treasures, and that's true. Proof tonight.
Very good.
Adios, Mexico.
Adios.
See you soon, Leilani and
See you
Justin and
soon.
family. Hope to
See you soon.
You have a home here in Mexico.
Thank you. We love Mexico.
That we don't have the ability to say no, and the world allows everything, and that's not how it should work. We work with boundaries, we work with limits, and we have to know them, and to be able to handle them. And nowadays millennials, then they don't know what boundaries are, because everything comes to them so easily. You can find them in the internet, they can find it with friends, they can find it wherever. And that's too bad, because they can't handle frustration. They don't know how to handle a boundary. And we are made of boundaries.
What, Jose? What can we do about it? I mean, I know you can't. What can we do about this? What's the answer?
¿Qué podemos hacer para eso? Para enseñarles los límites, para enseñarles la capacidad de frustración a los niños, en general a las generaciones de hoy.
No solo la resiliencia, sino la capacidad de frustrarse y que sepan que hay límites y sin tener un no como límite, que no se les puede dar todo.
Bueno, independientemente de eso, todo depende de la familia, ¿verdad? La educación que se les dé en casa, los valores, es como ellos van a tener ahora sí, como decían, sus límites, porque cuando los dejan solos, pues se hace lo que quieren. No se ponen, o sea, no hay un límite que los detenga, sino que al contrario, ¿verdad? Ven esa libertad, y la libertad la encuentran en los medios de comunicación, ¿verdad? O sea, ¿por qué? Porque los papás no tienen atención a ellos, los educan con esto, toma, porque están supliendo lo que ellos no pueden hacer, y ante esto, pues el niño debe de entender, ¿verdad? Trata uno de, como en la escuela, de formarlos en ese aspecto, de hacerlos responsables, sobre todo la responsabilidad, porque yo creo que es un valor muy importante de valorar, que ellos se lo graben en su cabeza, que son responsables de sus actos. El no tener una tarea, el no hacer a lo mejor un mandado, les va a generar consecuencias, y esas consecuencias las van a arrastrar. Y si no, desde chiquitos no tienen esa capacidad de comprender que lo que hiciste tiene una consecuencia, pues no van a lograr afrontar los problemas de la vida. Por eso siempre desde chicos hay que enseñarles, ¿verdad? Enseñarles, no dejarlos, enseñarles, y no consentirlos, ¿verdad? Es lo que yo les diría.
So, go ahead.
Actually, one of the things I can see is that new generations grow up later emotionally and psychologically because of the parents. The parents are the responsible for it, because parents, they don't want them to suffer what they did when they were kids. So they spoil them and they give them everything they want, and they give them right away, and that's what he says, because they don't mark limits, they don't put limits to them. And because they don't put limits, children grow up depending a lot of their parents, and if parents don't give them, they don't know what to do. And when they have to face life by themselves, they scare of it, and they think it sucks, and they just want to get the easiest way to run away, which is death sometimes. And that's why parents have the solution for it. I heard this thing here in Villa Corona, I don't know where or who I heard it from. He said parents need to educate kids, their own children, with a little hungry, they need to hungry, and with a little cold.
So make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, because they need to by themselves how to get that comfortability.
Okay.
Because if they don't get it by themselves, their parents, they won't be forever there.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's why they need to be, parents need to make them strong people for life.
not with people depending on another person. That's why kids right now, they don't know what to do when they grow up.
So as religious leaders, what can you do for people versus like a psychiatrist or a social worker? Like what is your... I'll go with Jose first. What?
Los líderes religiosos, ¿qué pueden hacer en comparación con los psicólogos, los psiquiatras y todo esto como para mejorar esta situación en las familias? Porque yo les explicaba que crecen, maduran muy tarde, emocional y psicológicamente, porque los papás usan todo, porque no tienen que sufrir nada. Más o menos por ahí va la cosa. Como líder religioso, como líder religioso, ¿qué se puede hacer?
Una atención a las familias. Nuestro trabajo en eso debe de consistir como pastores, la preocupación por la familia, velar por la misma familia y sobre todo porque existen muchas familias disfuncionales y a ellas también hay que atenderles de manera especial. Desgraciadamente, en mi caso yo no puedo hacerlo porque tengo esa responsabilidad yo de la escuela, ¿verdad? Pero pienso yo que a lo mejor en un futuro, cuando esto se pueda organizar mejor, la cuestión interna de la parroquia, se podrá tener una mejor atención a las familias, ¿verdad? Porque es lo que nos falta como pastores, llegar a donde está la familia, o como dice el Papa Francisco, ir, ¿verdad? Dice, en salida, por los más necesitados, los más alejados, algo de lo que estamos haciendo un poquito, pero que no podemos abarcar, ¿verdad? Es la atención, yo creo que netamente a las familias.
I think, I have kind of two answers for this. First of all, we have to understand what religion is. Because it just came to my mind, in the States, a lot of people say, I'm not religious, right? And to say that they don't practice any religion or any belief, right? And every person, it's by essence religious, because religious comes from two terms in Latin, religare, to tie once again. And people are tied to each other and to something above people, right? So everyone is religious. Not everyone practice a certain belief or a certain way of life or church or whatever, but everyone is religious. So, what do religious leaders must do? Guide this tying again one's soul and the other person's soul to something more meaningful to them. And I think the first thing that we have to and this is the second part of the answer, the thing that we have to work with people or to teach in people is a correct concept of freedom. Because today the concept of freedom is understood as to do whatever you want, and that's not freedom. Freedom is to do what one must do and one is made to do. For example, they say that I have freedom to choose whatever ice cream I want, but if I go to the ice cream shop and there's no chocolate ice cream, then there's no freedom for me, because I cannot choose chocolate and I want chocolate. That's not freedom. But freedom resides in me. Freedom lives in me. The power of choosing what I can choose. And right now I cannot choose chocolate. So my freedom does not depend on chocolate, but on me knowing that there's no chocolate and I can choose whatever else there is. This is a very basic example, but take for example, I don't know, one of the hottest topic right now, gender equality, right? And People nowadays say that you can choose from 48 or 72 or whatever genders there can imagine in the country, right? But that's not right. You can't choose what you are. You are made or a man or a woman, and choosing everything else, it's not your choice, because there's no freedom in that. So we have to teach people, or the religious leading stuff, I think, depends on the correct concept of freedom. And when one person finds out that correct concept of freedom, then you can live freely, and you stop being slaves of lies and stuff like that.
I think religious leaders need to listen their people, be with them, know them, because that's the way they could know what they suffer and how to help them. That one part, and the other one is not to be afraid of guide them to God, or tell them about there's a God, because God is true. God is the truth and His love, and that is the only answer they can get for their lives. And if people doesn't want to know about it, well, that doesn't mean that as religious leaders they should stop talking about it, because that's why they are leaders for faith, and they need to guide people not to their faith but to God, and that needs to be brave for everyone. And I think that is one of the greatest solutions that we can do.
What do you say, Mr.
I love
Religious?
it. So I love the freedom portion. I'm sorry, Jose, I didn't understand a word you said. I'll have to go back and listen.
But it sounded very good though.
And a key and a couple others. But the freedom part, I love it, because in America, when we started America, the way we found freedom is the pastors, it was called the Black Robe Brigade, and the pastors would go and teach sermons on freedom and what it meant, and that's what started the revolution in America. So I love that, because we need pastors to do that again.
Yeah, to understand freedom.
And we need to be more bold about talking about God. I think as Catholics and Mormons and all of the religious people, we need to be more bold, or we're going to lose the freedom to even discuss God.